Hi, we'd like to introduce you to fixed coupon notes, also known as FCN. This structured product is used to express a view on shares, a basket of underlying shares, or ETFs. It enhances investors' portfolio in the following ways. FCN is fully customizable and complements their existing single stock or fund holdings. Investors can also tactically exploit equity market opportunities with FCN. Lastly, investors are paid coupons at regular intervals, which provides yield over market performance. We will now explain the key terms, mechanism of the product, and share how different investors can benefit from FCN. Observation dates are at regular intervals. There is strike level, a knockout level, and an optional knock-in level that influences the redemption at maturity. Let's start by looking at the coupons and knockout mechanism. FCN is structured to pay a fixed coupon on every scheduled observation date. If on this date the worst performing share closes at or above the knockout barrier, the note is redeemed early. An investor will receive back his initial investment and the coupon for that period. If a knockout doesn't occur, the note simply carries on to the next observation date until it reaches its maturity date. At maturity, the redemption mechanism will differ depending on whether the FCN features an optional knock-in mechanism. How do FCNs perform without the knock-in mechanism? In this case, redemption at maturity depends on the performance of the worst performing underlying relative to strike. If it is at or above the strike level, the note will redeem at par. If it is below, the investor's notional holding of the FCN will be converted into the worst performing underlying at strike price. At that time, the value of the underlying would be less than the investor's initial investment and could potentially be zero in the worst-case scenario. Now let's take a look at FCNs with the knock-in mechanism, which acts as a soft protection. If the knock-in level is not breached, FCN will redeem at par, regardless of the performance of the underlying. A knock-in event has occurred when the worst performing underlying is below the knock-in barrier on any knock-in observation period. When a knock-in event has occurred, the redemption will depend on the worst performing underlying relative to strike. If it is above the strike level, the note will redeem at par. If the underlying is below strike, the investor's notional holding of the FCN will be converted into the worst performing underlying and would be less than the initial investment and could potentially be zero in the worst case scenario. So when should you place an FCN trade? Investors who are comfortable taking delivery of worst off underlying at strike can turn to FCN as an alternative source of yield. Investors can turn to FCN when market volatility are high, as the economic terms of FCNs are typically most attractive during this period. Investors who prefer some downside protection as a precaution even when the market is positive can turn to FCN. To find out more, speak to your Standard Chartered banker today.